Hi everyone and welcome to class today. Today we are going to try the headstand, tripod headstand, and we add some variation on it. So maybe you haven't mastered the tripod headstand yet, but I suggest we're going to use a bunch of blocks. If you don't have 6 blocks at home, some of us have 6 blocks. If you don't have 6 blocks at home, I highly recommend you find some books inside the house for tripod headstand. So if you happen to have only 2 blocks, you can see if it's as long as your arm bone. So to me, it's kind of as long as my arm bone. So I can use 2 blocks, but if in case your arm is longer, you can support a book, a thick book underneath it, so that it will be as high as your arm bone, so that your head will not be crossing down to the floor. Alright? So first let's sit down to the floor and we will breathing for a few minutes. Then we go through a sun salutation. We try to warm up our wrist in plank, chaturanga, down dog, mountain climber, and our familiar crow pose before we move on to use a block and do tripod headstand. So let's sit down to the floor, close your eyes, and start focusing on your own breath. Take a deep inhale and long exhale. Try to keep your face relaxed. Even when you are breathing in and out very much. Keep your face calm and slow down with your breath. Start making your breath deeper, especially the exhale. Now every time you exhale is a chance for you to find more core strength by squeezing your belly toward your spine. So every time you exhale, tighten your belly. And we are going to do the same action in crow pose and tripod headstand. Especially notice your lower belly. Squeeze that part in. It's much easier to squeeze the top part of your belly, but it's harder to get connected to the low belly. And that strength you want to discover in order to lift your leg up in inversions. And then slowly open your eyes. Take a deep inhale as you bring your arms over your head. And exhale. Let's bring your hands in front of your mat and go to table pose. Warm up in your wrist first by bringing your body in a circle around your wrist. Move yourself to the left, to the front, to the right and back, and feel how you are pressing pressure on all the corners of your hands. Feel the pressure on the outside of your hands, which means your pinky fingers, and the inside of your hands, in the root of your thumbs and the root of your index finger. And then let's move yourself the other direction. So still making big circle, but the other direction. For one more round. And then let's slowly come back to the center. Point your fingers out and then point them in toward your body. Bend your elbows slightly so that we don't have hyperextension. And then let's move the same way. Let's make circle. And when you bring your hip back, try to go back very much so that you feel it's stretching in your wrist. Continue moving. Try to feel the stretch in your muscles and not in the joint. So you should feel the stretch happening in the meaty part of your forearm. And then let's move to the other direction. And the same, feel how the pressure is spread out equally in your hands. Okay, and then let's sit down toward your heels. Give your hands some nice movement. You can shake your hands very gently in all the directions. To the side, up and down, rotation. And then hands down to the floor again. Let's check in with your hands and press the root of your thumbs and index finger down to the floor. Press the root of other fingers too, and the fingertips down to the floor too. So if you look at your nails, you should see your nails become a bit white. Let's inhale, cow pose, and exhale, cat pose. 2 more rounds like this. Inhale, cow, and exhale, cat. One more time, inhale, cow pose, and exhale, cat pose. Now let's walk your hands a little bit forward. Inhale, cow pose, raise your right leg up, and exhale, bend your knee and touch your knee to the inside of your arm, of your upper arm. So just like in cow pose. 2 more times like that. Inhale, and exhale, touching your knee to your upper arm of the right side. 1 more time, inhale. And exhale, really round yourself. Put your knee here into the upper arm, as high to your armpit as you can. Tuck your back toes down to the floor and lift the whole back knee up into mountain climber pose. And then inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, foot down to the floor into down dog. Check in with your hands. Make sure it's still like what we prepared. All the root of the fingers pressing down to the floor. All the tips of the fingers pressing down to the floor too. And more weight on the inside of your wrist. Let's inhale, plank pose. Exhale, knees down to the floor. Move forward, chaturanga. Let's stay halfway for today. Squeezing your elbows into the side of your body and bring your shoulders away from your neck. You have long neck here. Just like what we're going to do in tripod headstand. And exhale, lay down to the floor. Inhale to cobra pose. And exhale, go back into table. In table pose, inhale, cow. Lift your left leg up. And exhale, touch your left knee to your upper arm. Very high, higher than your elbow. Inhale, left leg up. And exhale, round yourself. Touch your knee even higher. Point your toes. You don't want to put your foot on the floor at all. You want to lift your left leg up really high. And then one last time, inhale. And exhale. This time, see how high you can go. Bring your knee very much. Almost touch your armpit. Tuck your back toes. Lift your whole body up. Push the floor away from you into mountain climber. And then inhale, leg up. Down dog split. Exhale, foot down to the floor into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Notice your hands. You may not see your hands, but feel all the corners of your hands pressing down to the floor, including the root of your thumbs and index fingers. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, knees down. Move your shoulder forward, bend your elbows into half chaturanga. Check in with your hands. Make sure that they are not lifted off the floor. We tend to lift the root of your index finger. Press that part down to the floor. And then lay down, exhale. Inhale to cobra pose. And exhale, lay down to the floor. Take a deep inhale, tuck your toes, keep your knees on the floor. Let's push up into a half chaturanga. So keep your knees here, but when you inhale, bring everything from your knee to your face. And slowly go up to plank and then downward facing dog. Look at between your hands, step your feet forward to your hands, bend your elbows slightly, don't lock your elbows. Raise your knees up really high so you can raise your heels up really high so you can bring your knee to the inside of your arm into a crow pose shape. Stay here in crow, you don't have to go further. We're going to fly 1 foot at a time. So squeeze your right foot toward your right buttock and feel your right knee pressing into your arm and change side. Squeeze your left knee into your left upper arm and then right and then left. And at the same time activate the muscles, the strength in the lower belly. So to help you pushing your lifting your hips up and trying to keep your foot off the floor. Okay, for one last time. And then you can stand with your feet. Whew, that was hard work with your hands. Step your feet onto your hands. Try to tuck your toes into your wrist. And then forward bend. Stay here for a few breaths. You can move your toes so that you give your hands a massage. And then slowly get out of the pose. Inhale, slowly stand up. Bring your arms over your head. And exhale, hands in front of your heart. Stay here for a while to wait for your blood circulation to be back to normal. And you will not feel lightheaded. You will not feel dizzy. Let's slowly open your eyes and do a sun salutation. We're going to do a lot of the action of putting your knee into your arm, like in mountain climber, like in crow pose. So be ready to do those actions. Let's inhale, bring your arms up, and exhale, chair pose. Inhale in chair, exhale, forward bend. Halfway up as you inhale, and exhale, forward bend, raise your heels up, bend your knees a lot, put your hands down to the floor, and bring your knees to your upper arm. Bend your elbows slightly and start moving forward very slightly. And then bring your right leg up. Bend your knee, still squeezing your knee into your right arm. Send your right foot back into kind of a lunge pose. Move your whole body forward. See if you can bend your elbow and pick your front foot up. Ooh. So it's kind of like a chaturanga with your left knee on your left arm. Send it back to plank pose. Inhale and exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay here for a few breaths. Inhale, pushing your hips up high. Then exhale, squeezing your belly in. One more breath, inhale and exhale. And then let's step your feet a bit closer toward your hands. Raise your heels up, inhale, raise your right leg up. And exhale, bend your right knee, put your right knee on your right upper arm as high as you can. And see if you can bend your elbow just a little bit and move forward. Think of a chaturanga with your right knee on your right arm. Step your right foot forward. Inhale to high lunge. And then exhale, forward bend, hands down to the floor. Step your back foot forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward bend. Stand up in chair pose as you inhale. Exhale, stand up straight, hands in front of your heart. Close your eyes. Take a few breaths here. Calm down before we move on to the other side. And then you will slowly open your eyes. Inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale, sit down in chair. Inhale in chair and exhale, forward bend. Halfway up as you inhale. Exhale, forward bend. Raise your heels up high, bend your knees, hands down to the floor. Put your knees into your arm. Move forward. Keep your elbows slightly bent and see if you can lift your left leg up. As you inhale, left leg up. And then exhale, send your left foot back into a kind of a lunge pose. Raise your right leg up and then move your shoulder forward as you bend your elbow. Pick your front foot up to, and then send it back into plank pose. From plank chaturanga, exhale, inhale, cobra up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay in down dog for a few breaths. Inhale, pushing your hips up high. And exhale all the way through your lungs or even through your mouth, through your nose. A few breaths here. And then let's step your feet a bit closer. Raise both heels up. Inhale, left leg up. And exhale, bend your left knee and put it on the left forearm, upper arm. Bend your elbow, move forward. So think of pointing your toes up to the sky. And then step your foot forward. High lunge pose as you inhale. Stand up. And exhale, hands down toward the floor. Step your back foot forward. Forward bend as you exhale. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, forward bend. Step your feet onto your hands again and move your feet so that you are giving your own hands a massage. And then move your hands out of your way and slowly stand up. As you inhale, arms over your head and exhale, hands in front of your heart. Close your eyes in the mountain pose and take a few breaths here. And now let's slowly open your eyes. We're going to try crowd pose without any block first. And in crowd pose today, even if you fly or not, I would like you to point your toes as much as you can and squeeze your heel toward your buttock. So your leg will be very flat, will be folded very flat like this. Try to do this action as much as you can do. Okay, let's prepare by raising your heels up as you bend your knees in a kind of chair pose with only your toes on the floor. Put your arm into your knee, hands down to the floor. Check in with your hands, make sure that your hands are as wide as your shoulders and your fingers are spreading out gently so you have more surface in your hands so you can stand more stably. Put your knees into your armpit and start moving your whole hips and shoulders forward. It doesn't matter if you can fly. If you can fly here, squeeze your heels toward your buttock. If you can't fly, do that with one foot at a time. Point your toes like a ballet dancer as much as you can. Do right, left. If you slide out of your hand, slowly bring your knee back to your arm. So if you are not used to this, the strength that your knee pushing into your arm will be very much that it may be a bit painful for your skin. May even leave some bruise, but then your skin and your arm will get used to it. So one more time, right, and then left. Okay, and then let's bring your knees down to the floor and relax with your hand. Put your hands underneath your knee and try to pull, think of how you want to pull your hand away. You can move your knee around so you give your fingers some massage and put your knee even closer to your hand. Give your hands some massage here and then slowly get your hands out of your way. So now we're going to try crowd pose with a block. You can use 6 blocks. If you have 6 blocks with you, make 2 columns of 3 blocks. If you only have 2, I'm going to do it with you. 2 blocks. So the problem here is that the block is quite short. So to me, it's the same length with my forearms and my upper arm. So I can lift my face off in the crowd pose using the blocks. But if your arms bone is longer than the block, then you will need to support something, for example, like a book, underneath the blocks. Try to find the books that are the same height. Put the hands behind the block, just like in Chaturanga, so the middle finger will be touching the middle line of your block. Move your shoulder forward, put your shoulders down. And I'm going to press my hands down very much as I move my head forward. Walk the feet closer and closer, and maybe I can bring one knee and maybe the other knee too into the block. So here my face already very close to the floor. So if your arm bone is longer, you will need to support something more underneath the blocks. And always try to squeeze your feet into your hips. And then slowly get out of the pose. Relax a little bit. And that position, when your knee touching your arm, will be where you have to touch your knee to your arm in tripod headstand. So tripod headstand is basically a crow pose, but with the top of your head on the floor too. Let's try that. Again, if you have 6 blocks, you can still keep the 2 columns of 3 blocks each. But if you have only 2, I'm going to do it with you. In this case, my hand will be behind the blocks and my head will be somewhere in between the blocks and a little bit in front of the blocks. So my hands and my head will form a triangle. The triangle shape will be the base of the pose, and you will need to put your hips inside that base. That means your hip will be right on the top of your head for the balance in the pose. So I'm going to bring my shoulders down to these blocks and then the top of my head down. So notice that now your chin is very close to your chest because it's the top of your head and not like your hairline or your forehead. Don't put those parts down. Now as you are here, I want you to imagine a little bit before we go. So your neck is now almost 90 degrees to the floor. It's almost vertical. We want to make the rest of your spine vertical too, so that you can stack your hip right on the top of your head. And that will be a headstand. Now let's pay attention to your hands for one more time and press your hands down to the floor, especially the root of your index finger. That's the part that we neglect the most. And the root of your thumb, which means the inside of your wrist, press them down. And then slowly get out of the pose. Stay for a few breaths to feel out of the upside down. Some people with low blood pressure, for example, they may feel very dizzy in inversion pose. So you need to take it slow and then slowly open your eyes. Alright, so your hands will act like a frame, a brake that stops you from falling that way. You have to press your hands, especially the wrist, the heel of your hand down to the floor very much to stop you from tumbling into that direction. Okay. If you tumble back into this direction, then it's safe. But it's scary to tumble there. That's why we need the wall. So if you feel like you don't trust the floor, you need to be close to the wall. You can move there, but I will do it here with you. So prepare your hands. Move your shoulder into the block. Bring your chin to your chest so that the top of your head can touch the floor. And then start tucking your toes down to the floor. Pressing your hands down to the floor. Secure your hands, your fingertips, your finger root. And then lift your knees off the floor. As you lift your knees off the floor, think of how you want to stack your hip right on the top of your head. And as you do this, they will feel quite heavy on your head. Press down with your hands so that you will not tumble the way that we don't want. Walk your feet a bit closer and try to push your hip more and more to the top of your head. Now to some extent you're going to feel like your hip is way too far away behind you. Press down with your heels of your hand, the heels of your hand, which means your wrist. And then bend one knee, put it on the arm, squeeze your toes up, stay here. Maybe the other knee can do the same. And as you do this, hug your elbows in. Check in with your hands all the time. You can look at them. Really make sure there's no gap between your hands and the floor. And this is a tripod headstand. Yes, you feel something in your head, but your neck is in good control because of the block. Hug your elbows in because your elbows tend to point out, but always keep your forearms, you can look at them, parallel to each other. To get out of the pose, back to a child's pose. And I suggest keeping your head slightly higher than your heart. Stay here for a few breaths. And then slowly get out of the pose. Whew. So now we're going to do this, and we're going to try to lift one knee up at a time. Right knee up and then left knee up in the tripod headstand. You don't have to lift your leg up super high, but if you can make your legs lifted up very high and even straighten your leg, you can do that. But then you have to bend your knee and slowly touch your knee back into your arm. So you can watch me first before you catch up with me. I'm going back into tripod headstand. Bring the head down to the floor. I always check in with my hands, and actually we can see the hands from here. So really see that everything is pressing down to the floor, especially the inside of your wrist, the root of your index finger and thumbs. Tuck the toes, lift your hips up, and as you lift the hip up, don't just point your hip back like a down dog, but move your hip forward and forward. Think of an L shape. You want your hip to be right on the top of your head. And then one knee, really pick one leg up and put the knee inside the arm. Ooh, and the other leg may follow. So we stay here. If you feel like this part is already very hard, you work on this. But if you can be here, let's lift one knee up. So you bring your body to the right side slightly so that you can lift your left leg up and then put it back. Bring your whole body to the left slightly so that you can bring your right knee up. Ooh, this is good workout. Okay, so let's do that together. And we want to do about like 6 to 10 times like that. One to the right, one to the left, one to the right, one to the left. But it depends on how you feel. And you don't have to do as fast as, I don't know, as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're going to take it slow. And you really feel the strength coming from the lower side of your belly. So let's do that together. Oh, give your hands some relaxing movement first. And if to some extent you can lift both knee up, that's awesome. Lift both of them up and then bring both of them down to the arms. Okay, so let's try that together. But try to lift one up first, and if the other follow, then that's great. You can lift both up. So shoulder down to the block, head down to the floor. I'm too far away. Always listen to yourself. If there's something that is scary happening, terminate the mission, because you don't want to be unstable while you're upside down and on your head. Okay, now let's bring one leg up. To my case, it's my right leg. Put the knee in the arm and the left leg follow. Point your toes, make sure everything is strong from your toes to your calf, to your hamstring, to your hips. Everything is strong. And now I'm going to do, let's see how much I can do. Right, left. Every time you exhale, you can lift one leg up. And left. And right, maybe a bit higher. Always point your toes. Great control throughout your whole body. Hug your elbows in all the time. Ooh, okay, I think I'm done. And slowly go back to the child's pose variation with your head higher than your heart. Stay here for a few breaths. And then slowly get out of the pose. So take a long break after every tripod headstand. Or any headstand or handstand, because you're upside down, and if you have low blood pressure, which means when you come up straight too suddenly, the blood cannot catch up with you, and you will have dizziness, and some people may even faint. All right, so now let's do a rear headstand. We're going to pick one leg up like we did before and straighten that leg up. So when you straighten that leg up, you will feel like it's really straight, but what happens most of the time is that your leg is somewhere here. So you're going to reach it up higher and higher, reach it to the behind of you. It feels scary when it comes to the point that you become straight. And then you will be able to lift the other knee up too. Once you lift your legs up, you're going to touch the one foot into the other thigh. So it's like you want to zip your leg together and slowly slide that foot up to meet the other foot on the sky. Okay, so if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you can watch me first. I'm going to be with the blocks again. So if you have 6 blocks, use them. They're very good for 6 blocks. If you only have 2, do it with me. So prepare the base, really stable, really strong. Tuck your toes, take in with your hands, look at them, press them down to the floor. And once you're ready, hips up. Walk your knees in, walk your feet in, pushing your hips over your head. You start feeling it a lot on your head. One leg and the other leg. Now, I will always hug my elbows in, because what happens is my elbow will be pointing out. And as you can see here, my hip will be really low. So I want my hip to be right on the top of my head. Point the toes all the time like a ballet dancer, and then let's lean the body to one side. In my case, I'm leaning to my left side, and bring the right leg up, straighten it up to the sky. So if you are here, this is good already. You don't have to go further, just stay here. Or you can bring the leg up even higher and lift your knee off the floor. Then you can touch your foot and slowly slide your foot up to meet the other foot. Always press down to the floor with your hands. They are your break. So that's a tripod headstand. Okay, so you can try that now. I'm going to get some minutes for you to try it on your own. If you cannot lift the other leg up, that's fine. You can just lift one leg up, go back, and try to lift the other leg. Okay, so let's try. And once you have done trying with the tripod headstand, let's sit down and give your hands some break. So that's enough for your head. Now we're not going to do tripod headstand, we're going to do the same shape with only one leg touching your arm and the other leg trying to fly up, but without your head on the floor. So your head will be lifted off the floor. And again, if you feel like your block is shorter than your forearm, you will need something underneath to lift it up a little bit. Yeah, maybe a book or another block, that would be awesome. But not too high, so high enough for your shoulder to rest on them. Okay, so you can watch me first. This is called the one leg crow pose because it looked like crow pose, but one leg is flying up. So there's only one leg in crow pose shape. Let's try to do that. You can watch me first. I'm going to prepare myself for the tripod headstand, but without the head on the floor. So I will keep my face looking forward, looking to some point down to the floor, and keep my elbows hugging in all the time. Now I'm going to lift my hips up and walk closer so I can bring one knee into my arm. Whew. Point the toes up so high and start leaning myself to the right side so that my left leg can lift it up. Whew. Into one leg crow pose. And then you can slowly get out of the pose. Whew. So let's try to do that together. Prepare your blocks. Put your hands down to the floor. Shoulders on the blocks. Your face will be pretty close to the floor, so if you feel like it's too close, you can support more underneath your blocks so that you have higher blocks to hold you. Always press your hands down to the floor. Your hands will be the thing that keep your face from smashing down to the floor and keep your body from tumbling to the front of your mat. So let's try that. Hips up. Squeeze your belly in. Stack your right knee into your right arm. Point your toes so much. Lean yourself slightly to the right side and pick your left leg up. Always point your toes in both feet and press the heels of your hands, the palms, the wrist down to the floor. And get out of the pose. Woohoo! Take a few breaths before we do the other side. So this time we're going to do left side. Let's do that together. Okay, so right hands down to the floor, behind the blocks, shoulders on the block. Lift your hips up. Put your left knee into the arm, left arm, higher than your elbow, so it will be stable here. Point your left toes immediately. And maybe you can lean yourself to the left side and bring your right leg up. Press your heels down to the floor, press your wrist down to the floor to prevent your face from smashing down to the floor. Whew. I can feel my side is weaker than the other side. Left side is weaker than the right side. And then shake your hands slightly. Okay, so that was one leg crow pose. So now that we have done with the one leg crow pose, I think it's enough for today. You're going to do some exercise to release the stress that we have been putting on your wrist. So at first, let's interlace your finger and rotate your wrist around. Make circle with your wrist. And then let's put one hand on the top of the other hand and slightly flex your wrist. Bring your fingers, imagine you want to touch your finger to the forearm so that you stretch the outside of your wrist, which have been shortening in all those hand positions. Think of how you want to touch your finger to the inside of your forearm. Stay here for a while. You can even close your eyes. I can feel the stretch being quite intense here. And then change side. Whew. I can feel the stretch coming all the way to my elbow. So a lot of muscles used here. And then I will slowly get out. Move the fingers in all the directions that you can think of. And try to move all the joints in the fingers too. Okay, and now let's go to a table pose, but this time with your forearms down to the floor. Let's put your left forearm down first and use the right elbow to massage into your forearm. You can massage in the muscles in your forearms. Press the elbow here and rotate it a little bit. And then massage the inside of your palm. The root of the thumb too is very big muscles in the hand. Okay, keep on massaging with your elbow, and if you want to, you can try massaging with your knee. Put your knee into your arm. Ooh, it feels much better. I like hardcore massage, so to me this feels very nice. Press your knee into the thickest part of the muscles in your forearm and move around. You will see how your fingers will start moving too, because they all related, these muscles, from your elbow to your fingers. Okay, and then massage into your wrist and into your hand. So the big part, the big muscles in the root of your thumb, massage that part out too. Whew, and then change arm. Wow, I feel like it's recovered already. Now your right forearm will be on the floor. Use your left wrist, your left elbow to massage into your right arm. And then let's use knee to massage your arm too. Put your knee into the thickest muscles in your forearm and start moving around. As you do this, you will see the three fingers, the three last fingers in your hands moving too, because all the muscles here are related to each other. This feels good. And then move the knee forward to your wrist. Massage the muscles in your wrist too. And then put the knee inside your palms and massage inside your palms too. Okay. How do you feel in your arms? I feel like not too bad actually. It's a very good release for my hands. Then you can lay down to the floor. Bring your hands up to the sky and shake your hands, shake your wrist in all the directions. Make them really soft, and then bring them out to the side of you and keep them on the floor. Touch your feet to each other and open your knees out into a Bandha Konasana pose. And leave your hands down to the floor and open your chest. Move your shoulder a bit closer to your hips, so now your back will not be on the floor. It's a gentle back bend here. Move your hands further away from your shoulders and close your eyes. start slowing down with your breath and feel how your arms muscles are resting down to the floor right now. Wait for your body to slow down and cool down. And then we can slowly get to the side, grab a block with you, and put the block underneath your chest for supported fish pose. So very slowly find a block somewhere. I'm going to use a styrofoam block because it's soft. And I'm going to use a medium size of the block. Bring the chest from the floor, put the block on underneath your upper back. Let go of your head. And now your chest will be the highest part of your body. Open your arms out like a letter T. And feel the stretch happening in the front of your body. Every time you inhale, feel your lungs filling up with air. Check in if you see any part is gaining new space or any part feel tight. And whenever you want to get out of this pose and Savasana, you can just very gently bring your hands back to hold the block. Slowly move the block out of your way, leaning to one side. Or lifting your whole body off the floor and then lay back down. To the floor. In Savasana, bring your arms to the side, close your eyes. And relax. Move the joints away from each other. Make your body long and expanding on the floor. As you close your eyes and relax within your body. Stay here and take a long Savasana that you deserve. Thank you very much, and Namaste.